Egg Advocate, and I'm told she's a very good speaker. So
Okay. All right, that's tomorrow, and you can still go if you want, right?
if
Yeah.
we can accommodate a few, yeah.
Okay,
So
just a few. Okay, sounds good. All right, Brandon. Then Brandon's up next. Then.
well, why don't we? We actually wanted to talk about something coming on later this month, which is Stewardship Week.
Oh, okay.
Kurt wanted to talk about what we do here, and then I would hope to go into our subject just a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, I can do that. Every year, the last week of April and the first week of May, we celebrate soil and water stewardship, and it's put on by the National Association of Soil Conservation Districts, which represents over 3,000 districts across the nation. And it's just maybe a wake-up call for everybody to be a little bit more conscious about the water quality and the soil health. And they do a little program for each grade. They have brochures they hand out and lessons for them. And as of a local soil conservation, we meet with the local ministerial society, and we buy them breakfast, and we kind of just promote. We're preaching to them instead of them preaching to us for one day out of the year anyway, and about soil conservation. And then we also hand out their material for that they hand out to their church people at the same time. But this is the 60th anniversary of this. Am I correct, Dion, of the soil and water
60th,
stewardship
yeah.
celebration? So across the nation, so that's kind of important too. Dion's going to be talking a little bit more about pollinators. This year's theme, each year they have a different theme, and this year the theme is Local Heroes, Your Hardworking Pollinators, and Dion can maybe talk a little bit more about that.
Okay.
Yeah, it's a subject people don't think about very often, but pollinators are very important for us. The pollination that they do makes for successful seed and fruit production, and it greatly increases crop yield. There are over 100 crop species in the U.S. that require insect pollinators to be their most productive, and almost 90% of all plant species worldwide need animal pollinators. So about 1 out of every 3 to 4 bites that we eat requires a pollinator. And it also helps provide us with things like fibers and medicines and spices. So the loss of pollinators is going to affect us all. Worldwide, they're being affected by loss of habitat, chemicals, invasive plants and animals, and of course diseases and parasites, which move around a lot more than they used to. The bees, both the European honeybees and the native bees, are the most important pollinators in the U.S. Some others include butterflies, moths, flies, and beetles, and then there are also your birds and bats, which, yes, they are pollinators. The bees are the best pollinators for crops because they tend to visit one species of flower per foraging trip, which gets the pollen back to the right plants, and because also they have a central nest and remain in one area, whereas things like butterflies tend to wander around. There are about 4,000 species of native bees in the U.S. 30% are solitary bees that nest in tunnels in wood. 70% burrow into exposed soil. This tiny remainder, about 45 species, are your bumblebees. These are social bees, and they're actually among our best native crop pollinators. Something most people don't know is that your solitary bees do not sting, and your bumblebees, even the honeybees, only sting if they feel the nest is threatened or if you manage to catch one. The honeybees, North Dakota has been the top honey producing state in the nation for years. We usually produce twice as much honey as any other state. Estimates show that honey close to $15 billion in crops each year, but the number of managed hives is about half of what it was in the 1950s, and the numbers drop. So you can probably do more than you think you can for pollinators. It just takes a few changes in your practices and encouraging habitat in a small part of your yard or farm. Some areas that are not farmed that could be used for pollinator habitat would include unused land around your fields and buildings, edges of ditches and streams, hilltops, and the area around utility poles. And also no-till will also benefit your pollinators. Basically, they need 3 things: a diversity of plants, a nesting place, and protection from chemicals, pesticides. Diversity of plants means that you're going to have overlapping blooming times that provide forage throughout the year and support a diverse bee community. Native plants are the best thing to encourage your native pollinators, and if you throw a little bit of native grass in there, it also provides some shelter. For nesting places, as I said, most natives are solitary, and most nest in small underground tunnels or tunnels left in wood, dead wood by beetles, or sometimes in the pith of the smaller plants. A few kinds will do their own tunneling, the carpenter bees, but deep soil tillage, tree and branch removal, these things are going to destroy the bees and their nests. Some of them, like the bumblebees, like small cavities, underground holes, even under a clump of fallen grass. So the bumblebees also have to start new each spring from an overwintering queen, so leaving some leaf litter out there for the hibernating queen will also help them survive. Basically, try to leave potential nesting sites undisturbed, especially if they're going to be near good forage and water. A lot of people ask this. The average foraging distance for native bees ranges anywhere from 50 feet to a half mile, and your European honeybees can fly several miles. So saying you should put it behind the hill, not next to the road, doesn't make a difference. If there's forage on the other side of the road, they're still going to cross.
Okay.
The third thing is the protection from pesticides. These can kill pollinators, and even sublethal doses can affect their survival. You need to pay attention to both the active ingredient and the formulation, because the microencapsulated forms can be mistaken for pollen, or they can be carried back to the nest and affect the whole nest. So the ways to reduce the effects of chemicals on pollinators are to avoid spraying when your crop is in bloom, and to apply at night if you have to when they're blooming. There are some resources. The Pollinator Partnership, Xerces Society, that's spelled XERCES, and of course NRCS has information available.
Okay.
So
Sounds good. Brandon, what did you have for us? We got just a couple minutes, so.
All right. Well, I guess I'll have to
Sorry,
talk
I-
fast then. But no, today I just wanted to talk to everybody about a recent purchase that the district made. They went over to Cracked Implement there and in town here and got a Hagendorn 5290 manure spreader. I don't know, Greg, have you seen it sitting out there in the lots at all?
No, I
or-
haven't, no.
No? All right, perfect. Well, I won't hold that against you. No, it's brand new. The district purchased it, and what we're going to do is we have obviously a checklist and certain things that we have to go over with a person before they would be able to use it. But we're going to charge $300 a day. Anybody can use it. Just call, and we can set up a time. If your field or the land that you're going to spread on is within the watershed, which we will also let you know if it is, if you're not aware of that, I can cover 60% of the cost of that. So with that, $300 a day, I can pay for 180 of it, and you get it for $120 a day. We also charge $500 for a deposit, and you can get that back. It's just to make sure that when we get it, it's all cleaned and there's no major repairs to do on it. As far as what type of tractor can go onto it, it's going to require probably 120 is what we guessed with horsepower. Obviously, we'll know more later as people continue to use it, but it's got about a 400 bushel capacity with it, and yeah, I guess that's about it. That's all we really need to talk about. You can use. I was looking it up today, and there's lots of varieties of tractors that have been on that. I saw some, back the older 1970s model, but the main thing is if you're going to use one of those tractors with a little less horsepower, try not to load it as full. I guess it's a little bit of common sense used there.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, Brandon. Anything else, Dion, this morning?
I think we've covered it. I think I more than covered it. I guess I went on a bit, but
You're right.
yeah, just call us, call me or Brandon if you're interested in the manure spreader, and hopefully we'll see a lot of you ladies tomorrow night at Women's Egg Day.
Oh, and
Okay, sounds good.
I also forgot with the manure spreader, that $300 does also cover soil testing on the field you spread on, and also manure sampling. I'll come out there, take the sample, send it in, and give you recommendations. We don't require you to do anything. We'll just give you a sheet and say, hey, here's what might work best for you.
Okay, sounds
Great.
good. Kurt?
Can I got a trivia question that you
Okay.
could maybe use.
Okay.
What plant does the bat pollinate? Do you know?
No.
Banana.
Oh, really?
And that's the number one fresh fruit in America. I did not know that.
Wow.
I didn't even know a bat was a pollinator until.
Right, yeah.
There's
Yeah,
a trivia question
that's
for
a good
you.
trivia question. Yeah, that's right. All right, thanks, Kurt. Anything else this morning, Kurt, or anybody else? Or
Thank
no?
you very
okay,
much,
you bet.
Greg.
Thanks, you
Yeah,
guys.
thank you.
Not a problem. This morning, we were glad to be joined by Dion Schaff, District Manager for the Foster County Soil Conservation District. Also, we were joined by Brandon Schaefer, Watershed Coordinator for Foster County, and Kurt Klein, Chairman and Board of Supervisors for the Foster County Soil Conservation District. And that concludes another edition of Here's What's Happening. Today's segment brought to you by Blue Swan Designs of Carrington. We'll take a quick break, and we got birthdays coming up shortly.